The chaos in ultra-left Portland is turning into a civil war as leftists have indeed begun to destroy themselves. In this video, we're going to look at how the city of Portland has become a site where leftist liberals have begun to fight each other, and how this civil war that's erupted from within the liberal left is causing them to ultimately destroy themselves. You are not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Steve here with you. Great to be with you. As always, if this is your first time here at this channel, a warm welcome to you. I post 2 videos a day analyzing current events, analyze some super awesome conservative trends so you can live in the present in light of even better things to come. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. It'd be an absolute privilege to have you as a regular part of this channel where each and every day we together celebrate, yes, the inevitable collapse of left-wing globalism and the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age. First, before you do anything else, make sure to click on that link below and head on over to my special website for my Patriot food supply. As we saw with the whole pandemic insanity, we cannot wait for an emergency to happen before we respond to one, and no one makes preparing for an emergency more ridiculously easy and affordable than My Patriot Supply. Gang, they're simply the best. Their food kits last up to 25 years in storage. They include breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. And best of all, they've got a guarantee policy that'll absolutely knock your socks off. And if you act now, you could save $100 off a full 4-week emergency food supply when you click on the link below to my special website. You heard that right. 100 smackers also. Do not wait. I've got my food supply. Make sure you get yours. Click on that link below or go to preparewithsteve.com. Save $100 off your very own 4-week emergency food supply today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Now, of course, for the last several weeks, we've been following on this channel very closely what's been happening in the far left city of Portland. Now, as I'm sure you're all aware by now, Antifa and Black Lives Matter radicals have taken over portions of the city, ravaging, destroying public property, assaulting police officers and the like. That's just on a good day. Well, now we're beginning to get a clearer picture of what's really going on here. What I think is actually happening here is that this is nothing less than a civil war. It's a civil war that's broken out within the liberal left. This is a civil war among leftists. Leftists are fighting leftists. I think this explains so much. I think this explains why New York's ultra-left mayor Bill de Blasio won't do anything about the rising murder rates in the city or try to stop the mass exodus going on among New York residents who are picking up and leaving the city in unprecedented droves, which we'll get into in a minute. But take a look at this from Fox News. The mayor of Portland is coming out and saying overtly that these BLM and Antifa rioters are indeed attempting to commit murder, referring to the numerous attempts by these thugs to set a police precinct on fire with police officers inside the building. Now, again, keep in mind, this is a far-left mayor, this guy Ted Wheeler. This is a far-left mayor who's been accused of actually being an Antifa sympathizer in the past. Back in October 2018, Wheeler actually allowed Antifa activists to block streets and harass drivers throughout his city. He stood by the police chief's decision to forbid law enforcement to get involved, and he ordered them to watch helplessly from a distance. So needless to say, you've already had calls for this mayor's impeachment in response to his utterly disgraceful left-wing behavior. And at the federal level, Senator Ted Cruz has called for a federal investigation and charges against Wheeler, who, according to Cruz, did in fact order his police officers to stand down and allow his citizens to be attacked and harassed by domestic terrorists. And all, of course, for political reasons, for increasingly insane left-wing political sentiments. But those insane left-wing political sentiments aren't doing Wheeler much good since the start of the Portland riots several weeks back. Now, he's a target of these Antifa and BLM thugs. We did a video a couple of weeks back on how this ultra-left Portland mayor was utterly and completely humiliated when he tried to appease and pander the far-left activists in his crumbling and imploding city. He actually thought it would be a good idea to march downtown with them, with these protesters and demonstrators, but then they quickly turned on him. They gave him a list of non-negotiable demands, which included the need to defund the police department by 50%, freeing all protesters from jail, the removal of all federal agents who had been deployed by the White House to begin these mass arrests that were striking terror into the hearts of these ultra-leftist agitators. And on top of it all, these leftists demanded that this feckless and cowardly mayor resign. I mean, after all he's done for them, after he's been an undeterred apologist for the woke left for these last several weeks, as it turns out, the woke left wants nothing to do with him. Remember, this is a mayor that is so woke. This is a city council that is so far left that they didn't even allow their city police officers to work with federal law enforcement officers deployed in the city in order to stand in the gap of the government's incompetent mismanagement and lawlessness. But that's not enough for our newly woke Black Lives Matter and Antifa demonstrators who are demanding the mayor's resignation. And to add insult to injury, as they were all meeting outside the federal courthouse a couple of weeks ago, where the mayor was getting booed and heckled amidst demands for him to resign immediately, just to pour salt on the wound, the police, sensing a full-blown riot developing, launched tear gas into the crowd in an effort to disperse them. And in the process, this leftist mayor, Wheeler, ended up getting tear gassed himself. Oh, my. Now he has no choice. He's been decisively rejected by the newly woke left, the radical ethno-national tribalist BLM and Antifa wing of the liberal left. And so now he has no choice but to actually come out and say that these guys are actively attempting to kill police officers and they need to crack down on them before they actually end up killing anyone. But what pundits seem to be missing here is how this chaos in Portland is indeed indicative of a civil war rising up within the liberal left. As this ultra-left mayor Wheeler proves, this isn't the forces of the left versus the forces of the right. Portland is all about the left versus the left. It's the BLM Antifa left versus the old establishment white liberal left. The old left. It's the new left versus the old left. That's why this feckless Portland mayor keeps trying to make this about Trump. He's trying to deflect the developing civil war within the left over to the right, and it's not working. It's not working in the least. And by the way, Joe Biden is actually making sure it's not going to work if he keeps insulting the black community. Did you see the latest? Oh, man, I don't want to go too far afield here. We'll probably have to do a video in its own right on this. But Biden insulted black Americans again. Fresh off the heels from his "if you don't vote for me, you ain't black" comment, Biden has now said that blacks have no diversity of opinion among themselves. I'm sorry, I'll get through this. He said that unlike African Americans, Latinos are highly diverse and have a range of different opinions about things. I mean, how do you make this stuff up? Biden's just the gift gaff that just keeps on giving. But alas, I digress. I want this to hit you. We're seeing in Portland far-left rioters clash with the law enforcement that are under the direction of far-left mayor and a far-left city council. In many ways, Portland is itself a civil war that's broken out from within the liberal left. It is the new left, the tribalist left, versus the old left, the old white liberal left. And those of us on the right, the nationalist populist right, we're all sitting back going, man, you guys are screwed. You guys are screwed. You are destroying yourselves. There is no way out of this. And they only have themselves to blame. Portland has spent decades sowing far-left sentiments among its population. And so here you go. You're reaping what you've sown. Now the white liberal is every bit an enemy as Donald Trump. And look at what else we're seeing. I think this is further evidence this is not just a civil war in the left, but in many ways it's a crack up of the left. Look at this. This is an elderly woman with a freaking walker. She's holding a BLM sign, okay? So she's giving her woke bona fides, as it were. So there she is, most likely to protest on behalf of BLM. She's reportedly telling this Antifa thug to stop attacking the police station. Let's peacefully protest. Let's stop with the violence and get back to our message. In the process, Another elderly woman steps forward, demanding these thugs to stop, and look at what they did to her. They harass her, they physically abuse her, they accost her, and they pour paint all over her. Now, you can actually hear a female voice shout from the crowd, "Put your mask on, bitch." I mean, gang, what is so essential to get here is the self-destructive nature of this movement. That's why I really believe this is nothing less than a civil war erupting within the left. And now we can even see Antifa beginning to fight with BLM supporters. Absolutely self-destructive and self-defeating. You know, and again, I think this goes a long way to making sense of the insanity that's coming from New York City, right? That's what we do here, making sense of insanity every day on this channel. We help you think better so you can feel better, all right? And get through these times. This is the more I think about it, this explains why the feckless and witless mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, seems to have gone so cuckoo of late. The latest insanity is that de Blasio has now made it far easier to arrest and to sue police officers for the tactics used in an arrest. This goes way beyond simply banning chokeholds and the like. De Blasio's measures are opening all kinds of loopholes for people to sue New York cops for how they got handled during an arrest. And the cops are like, you know, what on earth are you thinking? Do you think that in the neighborhoods that we patrol, when we say put your hands behind your back, suspects are just like, "Oh, sure, officer. Is there anything else I can do for you?" I mean, you know, they're like, what freaking planet is this idiot mayor living on? But if you think about what's happening in Portland as a civil war that's erupted within the world of the liberal left, it actually makes sense. De Blasio is doing everything he can to prevent that civil war from erupting in New York City. So he's giving the far left basically whatever he wants. He's totally appeasing them. And in the process, he's not doing a darn thing to stop the mass exodus of law-abiding citizens from the city. In fact, he actually came out and bashed Governor Cuomo's plea for rich New Yorkers to come back to the city after having fled to the Connecticut and New Jersey suburbs and exurbs. And he's basically, de Blasio is basically saying, stay out. We don't want you back. Again, this economic absurdity, well, it's not just economic absurdity. It's cultural absurdity, societal absurdity. But this rhetorical absurdity of telling the rich to get out and stay out is all part, I think, of this, you know, making sense of this civil war that's going on within the liberal left. And de Blasio is clearly taking sides with the Marxist left, right? To keep the civil war from erupting in New York. Regardless, I do believe we're seeing nothing less than the death of the left in all of this. A civil war has indeed erupted within our nation. Who would ever have guessed that it turned out to be a clash from within the liberal left itself? Now, before you go, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, and you'll definitely want to check out my latest video I just uploaded on the mass Antifa arrests that have been going on in Portland as the police do, in fact, begin cracking down on the rioters. It's going to absolutely make your day, so make sure to click on that link, and I'll see you over there. God bless.